Good morning, and welcome to another episode of Disability Matters. I'm Morgan Spicer, Self Advocate Coordinator with People First of West Virginia. I've learned over the years the importance of self advocacy and how much of an impact it makes to have your story out there. Disability Matters is designed to cover a wide range of topics that will inform you, inspire you, and encourage you to strengthen your advocacy journey. Now, we'll do this by offering a variety of guests as well as interviews with advocates around the state. It's not just legislative advocacy, it's so much more. So this month, I got the chance to talk to Michelle Steiner. She is a paraeducator, artist, blogger, and author. And if you don't know what a paraeducator is, don't worry, she's going to tell you all about it. So let's get to that interview now. So today I meet with Michelle Steiner. Would you like to introduce yourself a little bit to us?
Sure, I would be happy to. My name is Michelle Steiner. I live in Pennsylvania with my husband Ron and our two cats, Jack and Sparrow. I am a writer, a speaker, a photographer, and a paraeducator. I work in a school with students who have disabilities and some who don't as a teacher's aide. And I also have a blog called Michelle's Mission where I write about my life with a learning disability and feature my photography.
Wow. Sounds like you got a lot going on there. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
So, to start, could you share a bit about yourself and what brings you joy in your daily life?
I think what brings me a lot of joy in my daily life is working with my students whenever I'm at work. I love being able to make that difference because with having my own disability, I go in there and I feel like I get that way of knowing what they are going, what a lot of them are going through. I work with seventh graders, so it's like hearing and recording myself at that age. I hate my learning disability. I wish I didn't have it. And I get that to be that voice to help them. I also find a lot of joy in my daily life with reading. I love to read, and I think that's always been a passion of mine. Writing always also brings me joy. I also love to work out. I just think sometimes I'll be at the gym and I'm able to do that. And my husband and I, we also love to travel to museums and to gardens. And I think that that is also something that definitely brings to both of us joy together.
Awesome. Yeah, I was in learning disabled classes, and when I
Mhm.
attended high school, math was not my strong point, still isn't. But I was in there for most of my school year, but I had a really good teacher who didn't give up on me and pushed me to be the best.
That's awesome.
So what activities do you enjoy that contribute to your well-being and sense of community?
I think one of the best ways is I love going to our local YMCA. I've gone there for years and it is like a community, almost like a family when you go in there. Everybody knows each other. The staff is so friendly. I get to know a lot of our members, whether it's going to a group fitness class or if it's just working out in the wellness center. I think that brings a lot of community together. And I'm also not able to drive because of my disability. So I live in a central location where I can go different places. And that was always a consideration when we bought our house. I wanted to be able to walk to the Y or wherever else I needed to go. So that's one place where I think that brings a lot of community. I also see a lot of community in my writing group. I can remember when I was struggling with my peers all those years ago. I joined a writing group for adults, and they got to see me grow as a writer and a person. And they really encouraged me to write about having a learning disability. And I thought, oh no, I'm not going to talk about that. And I put that on the shelf for a number of years. But what's so amazing about that group is 20 some years later, we still meet once a month to talk about our writing and we're in each other's lives. So I definitely can see a sense of community with that.
Right. That reminds me of one of the advocates that we serve here locally through our People
Hmm.
First chapter. His name's Delmer Davis, and he's been with our People First chapter for a good while. He actually wrote a book that started years ago called That's What
Nice.
I'm Talking About, The Life of a Country Boy with Cerebral Palsy. And it took him quite a good long time to get that book done. And recently this year, some of our staff actually helped him finish that book. So now it's available for people to read on like Amazon, anywhere they buy their books.
That's awesome. That's great.
So I saw in your profile that you love photography. So if you what could you tell me about what inspired you to start photography?
Well, one of the things I never really considered myself to be much of an artist. I thought I can't draw a straight line. I'm definitely not an artist. I can write. And I had a woman that was in my writing group years ago. I took a picture at prom and there was a tree at our venue. And all my peers were like, "Why'd you take a picture of a tree?" And this woman said, "Ah, that shows perspective." But I still didn't think I was an artist. So I put that on the shelf for a number of years as well. And my husband and I were at a wedding, and on the way home, we stopped at a cemetery, and I took pictures of these beautiful angel statues. And I had a friend that saw them, and she said, "Wow, these are amazing." And this friend did not flatter anybody. So if she said that they were good, I thought these must be pretty good. So I entered them into a photography show and got an honorable mention. And that encouraged me to be able to enter them into other shows. And then I started taking pictures when I was on my walks because I can't drive because of the disability. So if I'm on a walk, I'll take pictures of flowers and other things that I get to see. And people were saying, "Well, you bring out the details in a flower that I would miss." And I started posting them on my blog and having them get published in other places. And I think to myself, if I was sad about not being able to drive, this is my chance to literally stop and smell the roses. And if I was behind the wheel of a car, then there's so many shots I would miss in my life. And I think sometimes that just reflects with having a disability. I can look back and say, there is so much beauty in here. And if I'm so focused on having this disability and everything I don't have, then I'm missing so much out of that beautiful journey in my life.
Absolutely. We have an advocate as well that we serve that loves taking some photos. I'll send you some
Hmm.
of her photos as well.
Yes,
But
awesome.
she loves just getting out and taking photos. She taught a class at our People First conference we hold yearly about how to
Hmm.
take good photos. And it was
Nice.
just really good. I mean, better than I can do. I mean, I think my photos can use some work, but I do like to take photos from time to time of just like beautiful places if I'm
Hmm.
out of like I'm from Parkersburg, so when I get out, I love taking pictures and getting to see other places that I haven't been to.
Exactly.
So you also have a blog. Tell us about that blog and how can individuals find you?
Sure. I have a blog called Michelle's Mission where I write about my life with the learning disability. I use a lot of nature analogies. I might talk about the process of accepting my disability as like a flower that's unblooming, or the transformation that process that you might find with a butterfly. And I put that where people with disabilities can be able to understand that, or families. And I also will combine sometimes my photography with that as well. And I give that chance. I have a little store where people can purchase my prints and other things as well. And also the mission of behind my Michelle's mission is to be able to encourage, empower, and educate people with and without disabilities. And you can find me at my blog, www.michellesmission.com.
Perfect. Definitely will have to check that out and encourage others to visit there as well. I actually took a look at the page a couple days ago and it's really nice. I love it.
Thank you so much.
Hmm. So you mentioned at the start of the interview that you are a para-educator. Can you tell us what that is?
Sure. A paraeducator is a teacher's aide. So I work in the classroom with students and I help to assist the teacher with running the class. And I also help students who are struggling, maybe to understand material. I can help them with everything except for math. All the kids know or will find out, do not ask me to help you with math. Yeah.
Same.
And yeah, you either get it or you don't.
Hmm.
And I also really work with my students too to be also to advocate for themselves. a lot of times we'll have a student that'll come in and maybe they might be struggling in a class or they may not understand something. And especially if it's math related. So I will go up and I'll have to say, well, let's go ask somebody, let's go ask your teacher for help. And they'll be like, well, I'm afraid to ask for help. And I say, well, I'll go with you, but you need to ask. And before you know it, we have students who aren't afraid for asking help anymore, and they're raising their hand, they're asking for that support. And sometimes that's where the beauty is. If I don't know something, then we're going to point them in the right direction. But I just think it's so important that they know how to do this because for so many of my students, they're going to one day leave me, and I hope every dream comes true for them. But they're going to, for so many of them, their disabilities are going to be there. So right now, we have to show them how to be able to manage that and also how to be an advocate for themselves.
Absolutely. And we do that. We do a youth conference here with our
Mhm.
here in our local area,
Nice.
where we actually go to several schools in West Virginia and teach about people first language. How to be an
Hmm.
effective advocate for when you get out of for when you get out of school and throughout your daily life. Um, and I think it's great that the earlier you start teaching individuals about self-advocacy, the stronger they get.
Yes.
And you're starting their journey early so they have those tools to use when they get older and one of
Hmm.
these days they're in a crisis and they need to use self-advocacy to figure that out.
Exactly.
So what is one thing that has happened to you in your self-advocacy journey, and how did you turn it into a learning experience?
One of the things that helped me with my journey with being an advocate is I had a lot of people that were telling me no, that I could not go to college. I had people telling me that I couldn't get my bachelor's degree. And some people were even saying to me that I would have limited job choices or accommodations for cheating. So there was such a stigma that was attached to them. And I grew afraid. Like I thought to myself, I went through all the motions, I did that, but I was really afraid of real self-conscious of what people thought of me. And it wasn't until I finally realized I have to be the one that's going to advocate for myself. And I'm always going to have people that are going to maybe question that. But it's up to me to speak up for that. And I did not get that until I went to university. After I had my associate's degree and I went back to school, I said, all right, I know what I'm good at. I know to carefully research programs, not to get involved with a lot of math or science. I knew to go for the programs that I loved. And I also knew that if I didn't do well on one thing, it wasn't the end of the world. But I started to be able to speak up for myself. I would go up to my professors and tell them I had a learning disability, and these are the support services I'll be using on campus. And once I started to do that, I had a lot of success. My grades improved dramatically. I made dean's list for a semester, and I was able to graduate with a bachelor's degree despite being told I couldn't do it.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah.
What college did you go to, if I can ask?
Sure. I started out at Butler County Community College for my associates, and then I went to Slippery Rock University for my bachelor's in community programming for Americans with disabilities.
Wow, wow. So you got some experience under your belt.
Yes.
Well, that's great. And that's a really good example that, advocates can take from this is that, you utilized your self-advocacy skills to get where you are today. And it's such a
Hmm.
powerful tool that, this again, the sooner we learn it, the better we get at it. And, it's good to have those support systems out there. That way you're not alone.
Hmm.
You don't feel like you're alone.
Exactly. And that's just one of the things with being successful now is that creative problem solving and learning how to advocate for myself.
Yes. So, oh, wait. Yeah, sorry about that.
It's okay.
So, what advice would you offer to someone who is just beginning their advocacy journey?
One of the things that I would have somebody that's beginning that advocacy journey is to be able to know about their disability. I think that's the first thing you have to know about, because in order to be able to solve what the issue that you're encountering is, you have to know what that is. So I think it's educating yourself about that. That would be my first thing. And once you know what that is, then it comes that time where we want to be able to learn how to be able to say that. But before you go out and you speak to a boss or you speak to a professor, a supervisor, or any kind of teacher with that, I recommend role playing, where you could go with a family member or a trusted friend or a counselor, and you can talk to them about asking for that and playing that scenario with that person, role playing that. I think sometimes that would help out a lot before you get in there, so that way somebody can give you some feedback, some pointers, and their point of view on that.
Excellent. A good example of that too is
Hmm.
we have an event we do here with People First called Disability Advocacy Day that we get to go to the Capitol in Charleston and
Nice.
talk to our lawmakers. So sometime when we do the training, we do role plays on how to effectively talk to them, like the right and wrong way. I mean, we tell them, you wouldn't want to go in there and, act rude and unprofessional. That's not going to get what you want. But if you go in there,
Hmm.
armed with knowledge and kind and, compassionate, then they're going to listen to you.
Yes.
So, what changes would you like to see in your community to make it more inclusive and accessible for people with disabilities?
One of the things I would love to see is a more customized approach to people with disabilities. I can remember when I got out of community college and we were trying to find a job for me. I was working temp jobs, but we wanted to get a more permanent job. And I would go into this agency that did job coaching, and they did job assistance for people with disabilities. But a lot of their programming was more for people that had higher support needs. And I didn't feel like it was customized for me. I would go into these places and I can remember one of the activities was circling jobs in the newspaper. And I'm thinking, I could do this in my house. And so I think that was one of the things that I thought was lacking, was that they wanted everybody to be the same and to have the same needs, and everybody comes in with a unique set of needs. So I wish that that was that way for adults. I even wish for the students that I work with that we could do more plans that were just based on their needs more than just putting everybody on grade level. I just wish that just was a program that could risk take in the needs of each individual person and really work on the whole person.
Perfect. All right. So, what are your hopes and goals for the future? And how do you plan to use your experience and self advocacy skills to achieve them?
One of my hopes for the future is definitely to expand my blog. I would love to be able to do that. I would also like to write a book eventually about having a disability. And my own book, I've been published in some anthologies. I have my fourth one that just came out. But I'd like to have my own book eventually, and just to definitely work with other people that have disabilities and uh, help them along in their journey.
Perfect. And so you mentioned about an anthology series. What exactly is that? Would you care to elaborate?
Sure, I'd be happy to. I have had stories published in four separate anthologies. The first anthology was called Rediscovering Your Story, and I met with people that was at a workshop, and we did different prompts about. Some people wrote about their hair. Other times we might have wrote about what's our favorite place or the most important lesson that we've learned. And that was published in an anthology that's available for purchase on Amazon. My second anthology was The Baggage We Carry. And I talked about having a learning disability and the baggage that that carries. And I have the link for that on my website as well. The third one just came out. It was called Through Our Lens. And it was different people with disabilities, and they're writing about their experience with having a disability. And the latest one was called Tough Kid, and it is people wrote about the prompts about tough kids, and I wrote about how my learning disability has made me tough.
Wow. And so anyone that's interested in those can pick those up on Amazon or on your website?
Yes, on my website, I have the information.
Awesome. I mean, I'm going to have to go check some of those out.
Thank you.
Hmm. So, is there anything else that you would like to share that we haven't covered?
I think we got everything.
Perfect. So, if anyone wants to, reach out to you, get a hold of you, talk to you, or have any questions, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
You can find me in my blog, www.michellesmission.com, and I'm also on Facebook and Instagram as well.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today. I really appreciate it, and I really enjoyed talking with you today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Michelle, for joining us this month. If you'd like to check out all that Michelle does, please visit www.michellesmission.com. And don't forget, if you want to be featured on an episode of Disability Matters or have a subject you would like discussed in a future episode, you can reach out to me by calling the ARC at 304-422-3151 extension 129, or you can email me at morgan.spicer@thearcmov.org. I would love to have you on a future episode of Disability Matters. With that, we're out of time for this month's episode. Join us next time for another episode of Disability Matters, where we are advocating, educating, and celebrating the potential within you. See you next time.